See that picture? It's a baby. Cute, isn't it? Well, we blurred the face to protect his identity because we've got bad news. You're looking at a bigot. According to a new pair of scientific papers, your baby is one too. Those studies say all babies are racist, even when they're just 6 months old. For real, it says that. Researchers at the University of Toronto in Canada found that when babies hear happy music played, they stare longer at the pictures of their own race, while sad music makes them linger on the pictures of other races. Dr. Kang Lee of the University of Toronto is the lead researcher for these studies, and he joins us now. Dr. Lee, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, pardon my skepticism, kind of hard to believe that babies are bigots. Are you sure?
I'm not saying babies are bigots. I'm just looking at whether or not the babies are already biased to associate certain kind of emotions with own race versus the other race. One of the things that we discovered, however, is that 3-month-olds are not. So they don't associate negative emotions with own race or other race individuals. And however, after about 6 months of life, the babies start to show some biases. So when we show them the music that is happy, they tend to look longer at own race individuals over other race individuals.
So they go bad at 6 months. Boy, it just seems so early. What's the punishment for that at 6 months?
Well, I don't think there's any punishment for it. I think the reason for this is actually because most of us who are born into monoracial families, we tend to see only the faces of our own race individuals. And because of this, we really have very limited experience with the other race individuals. So one of the things that when we develop, we tend to show novelty biases, that is, we feel uncomfortable with things that are new, unfamiliar. So because of this, and when they see other race individuals and they are not familiar with, they tend to associate some negative valences with them. So this is the beginning of it.
Now, I'm not a social scientist or a researcher, but it seems unlikely that you could measure the racial attitudes of a 3-month-old beyond, like, my diaper's dirty kind of thing, or I want some milk.
I wouldn't say, so the way to do it is to see what kind of things we associate with, or whether or not we tend to learn. The babies like to learn from own race individual or other race individual. For example, in the second study we did, we actually showed own race adults or other race adults teaching kids about what's going to come up. And in one condition, both of them are actually 100% correct. In this condition, babies don't care. Regardless of your own race or other race individuals, they learn from them. And when both of them are incorrect 100% of the time, and they don't want to learn from any of them. So babies are very, very smart. The critical question is when it's under uncertainty. That is, when both adults are 50% correct, what would the baby do? And we found that the babies would like to learn more from the own race individuals, treat them as if they are 100%, and then the other race individuals as if they are 100% incorrect. So these are the biases, but I don't think these are the bigotry or this kind of racism at play at this young age. I'm just saying that this is the basis that we may build up with our experience, and then they diverge when we look at the own race and other race individuals.
I mean, from a non-expert point of view, this suggests that these attitudes are not learned behavior, but a product of evolutionary biology. But, I guess you would know. As someone who covers politics, though, I'm pretty certain that your study is going to lead to new government programs and government control over babies. Do you think? I
hope not. I want to say two things. The one thing I said is we are not biologically predisposed to be racially biased. So this is what our findings are suggesting. So it seems to be that basically our early experience, if it's very exclusive, then we tend to develop the early biases. So that's one thing. Another thing is, well, I think it depends on parents, right, and educators, whether or not you want your kids to develop with biases. For example, you could actually introduce your kids, babies, to read storybooks that are depicting people from all over the world. And I think that would help your child not to see more individuals from different races, ethnicities, as well as expose them to different cultures. I think you make your babies more worldly. So in terms of government programs, I'm not quite sure. I think for parents, there's a good message from these studies.
I mean, call me cynical, but I have the feeling that this is going to justify a whole new range of intrusions into people's family lives, where all of a sudden government regulators and do-gooders and people with guns are going to rearrange the family in the interest of promoting tolerance or whatever the justification
No.
is.
I think you get it totally wrong. The message of these studies are showing that the early experiences are very important. We know this from from many studies, right? So early experiences are very important.
Right.
The idea is you show your babies experiences, and the more experience they have, the better they're going to be. So different languages, different people from different races. I don't think the government has anything to do at this point, because this is early childhood actually. Parents play a very good, important role here.
Well, obviously not good enough, because they're not doing whatever is required with a 3-month-old to keep them from developing the forbidden attitudes you describe.
Oh, I don't think so. I think parents know what's good for their kids, right? Parents know that if you teach kids about different kind of people, storybooks about Chinese people, about African people, about American people, about Europeans, I think the more they know and the more they learn, and the more experience they have, and they become worldly. I think parents like their kids to be worldly, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just, I guess, again, having covered this stuff for many years, when you said, quote, at this point, I got a chill, because I realized that I'm going to read your study in a New York Times piece 10 years from now, sort of desegregating daycare or requiring parents to give certain kinds of picture books to their kids. I mean, there's just literally no question about it. And
I hope people do not take the message from our study in this way. I mean, this would be like, I don't think reasonable people reading these studies and reading these findings say, hey, government, you come in and take my babies away. I don't think so. I think the whole idea is experience is important, and diversity of experience is very important for your kids' development.
All right. Well, I definitely agree with that part of it. Dr. Kang, thanks a lot. Dr. Lee, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.